Aloha, this is a Greenletting Mr. T, and this is just a bonus episode. I'm just going to be talking about what I thought of this Ridley fight, and I guess the other boss, the gold statue Drewseph thing. I don't care. I don't really care about Ridley, but I'll talk about him too, I guess. So when I originally, I guess if you watch, I'm assuming you've watched the original run at this point, so originally you would like go underneath, use the wave beam in order to take out these enemies safely without taking any damage. But then I realized that despite like barely getting hit on my way into this area, I still didn't have more health than I would get just by doing a crystal flash. So I stopped caring, and I just went basically Rambo, just spamming all my missiles to just kill those enemies in a much faster manner. So it takes way less time now. So I set up the power bomb the way I do so that I can jump out afterwards. I finally, it was during this stage that I finally learned how you can do that weird jump where you go to a higher platform by moving yourself up a pixel or something like that. By you just look down and then you move in the direction you want to move, and then you go up a pixel or something. Lets you make jumps you normally wouldn't be able to make. So always good. I gotta open the door. It's much better to use super missiles because you only take 5 as opposed to 25 regular missiles, and these guys don't tend to like to drop item drops, just only half of the time. Okay, it's Ridley time. I start with the power bomb because they do damage before he even appears, and I only do one. You could squeeze in a second one, but I want to be sure that if my first power bomb doesn't go off when I try to do a crystal flash, that I have the chance to do another. Also, power bombs are just incredibly useful for the fact that they force him out of, and they force Ridley to go back to his flying phase. He basically has 2 phases during this fight. He has his, what I like to call his pogo phase, where he pogo sticks around on his tail just non-stop, and he shoots fire out. Hopefully the fire hits the wall and not the ground, because otherwise it becomes incredibly difficult to dodge. And 2, he has his flying around phase, where he will do swoops, across the bottom of the room, or charge at you to try to grab. Or, on 3rd, he will charge at you and then try to swipe at you, do a tailspin swipe. To be honest, if I could keep him in just one of the phases, it'd be a lot easier fight. But unfortunately, he will very erratically just decide he wants to go to his other phase now. You can't, as I said, you can force him into his flying phase by dropping a power bomb. But I don't have enough power bombs to just keep him in his flying phase for the entire fight, so that's just not an option. The other thing to talk about is if you jump high enough in the room, he will automatically go back to his flying phase, but that's kind of hard to do, and it doesn't work quite as well. So it's only useful when he's already in his flying phase. Let's just put it that way. Okay, so this ball rolling strat. This is similar to what I did when I had to do with a 1 energy tank, or 0 extra energy tank, 15% run of 0 mission. Basically, for that, you had to go. You had to basically just not get hit. So to do that, you had to do ball rolling in order to get underneath his tail when he does the pogo sticking in that fight. He has way more abilities, I guess you would say, in 0 mission he does in this game. But however, he's a lot more predictable in 0 mission. So I guess that's the biggest difference between these fights. Just the predictability of the boss. So now I'm going to talk about the MVP of this run, which is the broken glass container in the room. I had his tail interacts with it, which is really weird because we don't. We can roll right through it. Drewseph actually like explained it a little bit to me that Ridley's tail is like it's programmed to interact with anything that isn't air, and that the container is, he called it was like fool air, because it's like if you take your X-ray scope and you scan it, it will still show up, but despite that, you can still walk through it. So I guess so it's just a huge blessing for this fight, because you can be directly under his tail, and it'll hit the glass container first instead of you. It also like forces his jumping to be a little higher to give you more time on the downswing. It's wonderful. It is probably what made this, well, possible for me. I don't know. I'm not going to say it would be impossible to do this fight, but it certainly would be a lot harder. Okay. So, basically the idea is you just have to, he will turn once he gets to a certain, like, side of the room. Like, if you go on the other side of him too early before he's like reached that point, he will start moving backwards rather than turning around, and it's much preferable to have him turn around. And again, I hold both of the bumpers, L and R, so that I can do crouch shots, so that I can easily roll back in the morph ball. Sometimes if I think I can like get a shot off using the door, I will shoot the door. That's something I only developed really late, and basically the goal is get your shot in as soon as possible and then get back into morph ball, where I have the most control that I can have. So I will say a little bit about like his other phase, that like he spends like 90% of the fight in pogo stick mode, and then like 10%, maybe like 15%. It's more like 15% of the fight he'll spend in his like swooping around mode. When he's in that mode, like, first off, it's a little difficult to tell because he can swap just so erratically back and forth. But when he's in that mode, it's like it's best to like jump up on, I don't know, the birds on the wall. I'll just call them birds, and jump over him when he swoops. If he tries to charge at you, just jump straight up and he'll back off. And that's all you really have to do for that fight. Otherwise, just get as much damage in as you can. And as soon as he goes back to pogo sticking, just drop down on the ball, roll into a ball, and try to dodge back in. Alright, so I'm actually going to win. When he goes, like, on the last bit of his fight, he tries to go and grab you and then explode. And the grabbing is like, I don't think I would have survived the grab. It's like around 150 energy, so I don't think I would have actually survived if he grabbed me in this scenario. But thankfully he was like in the middle of his aerial phase when he did it, so I was already in a position to jump up to stop his charging. So like I had to like stop his charge twice there, but he really wanted to grab me, and I just fortunately was able to outlast him.
I don't know. Please don't mess up the jumping. I want that whole 3 fill.
The other thing to talk about during this fight is the acid. The acid is the worst part of this fight because it goes beyond the fight. You can the acid can end your run at any point. I just hate it so much, and sometimes if you fall in, Ridley can like be on top of you, and then he'll just dunk you back into the acid, instantly killing you. It's so bad, and it's like the one thing that, it's the one big difference between vanilla fight and this fight, is that the acid will kill you instantly. You can't just fall in and then jump back out. It's so nasty. You have to be so... It took me a really long time to get used to even just what the very quick planning and motions you need to do if you fall in the acid, because you have to immediately start your escape the second you fall in, or else you don't have enough time to get out. It's just awful. Alright.
Oh my god, finally.
Yes, I died in that room once. It was very painful. I am happy to be over it. Let's see. I talked about aerial motions. I talked about ball motions. I talked about the acid. I think I've talked about most of that, what I wanted to talk about with Ridley. If I were to compare the Ridley fight to the Zero Mission fight again, I'd say that I think it's still vanilla of this game. It would be Zero Mission would still have the harder fight, because at that point you would also have gravity suit, so you take less damage. Plus the fight is just so much shorter. It goes by so much faster. The big problem about this fight is just the endurance, the amount of time you have to spend in it. It was a 6.5 minute fight, basically, for me. And I have done a very good job of collecting collectibles. I've even collected some extra energy tanks that Drewseph wasn't expecting me to get. But I would say that this is definitely the hardest fight. Then it would be like Zero Mission, and then it would be like this game. I think that's the ordering I would give to it. I haven't done a low percent run of the vanilla game yet. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That is for something I want to do eventually. Didn't I speed this part up? I guess I didn't. Yeah, I only did the beginning one. That was done. Whoops. Too late. I've already got my missiles back now. Alright, so at this point, well, because I got the energy tank, it is like as much energy. Oh god, I hated that part where I fell in. Thankfully, I knew to crouch to get as much jump in and just get out. So I want to keep as much energy as I can, because I technically have more energy than I would get out of doing a crystal flash. I guess I should briefly mention that when I originally came in here, I still had energy left in my reserve tank. I just eventually decided that the best course of action was just to use it before the fight, because what would happen if I didn't? One, it could save me from acid, but if I'm already in the acid, I'm pretty much already dead. And if I get hit by Ridley, and that cashes in the reserve tank, you immediately get hit again after it's done filling up. And since he does like 150 damage, it would just instantly kill you anyway, so it's not worth. Plus it also messes with your ability to get a crystal flash during the fight. I didn't even mention, crystal flashing in that fight is just really random and hard to pull off. And I actually, thankfully, didn't have to do it for that round. I was expecting to not be able to get through that fight without it, but I actually did. I'm really proud of that. I have no advice on how to get a crystal flash into that fight. It's a lot of praying. You do have the advantage of the power bomb will push him back, but if he's like in the middle of a downswing, he doesn't immediately start backing away. He does it slowly, so he'll wind up just running into you anyways. It's just really hard to set up. Alright. This boss. Gold Crozo statue guy. I don't really know his name. I don't think I care enough to learn it. It's somewhere in the manual. Basically, I did practice runs on this guy, but I never, developed a strategy for him. I just did some runs where I started out where I used super missiles, to the best of my abilities. I've even done, when I first did it, I did, those, power bomb beam combo things. And basically, at the end of the day, just using the regular beam gave me like gave me the best success rate for the fight. When I was using like super missiles, every now and again I would die to him, and then when I just used the beam, I would just get through the fight every time. So that's what I decided. Oh, I should have enough health. I'll just use the beam and just go for it. Not worry about it. A lot of his attacks, oddly, like you would think, like those balls that he throws, like they would do damage, but like all his attacks, like they don't damage you until they actually explode. So it's just a really weird. It's weird to get in your head. I mean, this is like one of those few attacks that actually hits you. But like when he does that thing where he shoots the ground, like the shots don't do damage. It's when the ground explodes that it does damage. Really weird. So thankfully, I do come out victorious, or else I wouldn't be showing this as my victory video. I do have to do a crystal flash, which is something I've never had to do in this fight. I mean, I did practice a little, like, see what would it be like to do crystal flashes, and it's generally, for the most part, all you want to do is just back up far enough away, because he generally doesn't do an attack unless he reaches you. So he's less aggressive if you're further away from him. And thankfully at this point I can do as many crystal flashes as I want to get health back.
I've never had to do a crystal flash during that fight. I'm so glad it worked.
So I am just in the clear. It's just a matter of performing the last few techniques I need to do. I've decided that going that way is just strictly impossible. It's just, I mean, I can't even get deep enough into the room, and there's no way to get like the shine spark off to go faster into the room. It's just, I don't think it was ever meant to go that way. So I instead go for trying to get a damage boost off. Doesn't go, takes me a couple of tries to get one going though. I eventually decide just kill the first enemy so I can use a different enemy because he's like already down here swooping. In fact, he chased me down here, which is something I've never seen happen. Freaked me out a lot. However, it's just simply easy enough to run away and get health back. So, at this point, I'm looking at what's gonna come next, and it is not a fun time. There's going to be lots of acid chasing on my way out of here, and beyond that, maybe I will have to deal with freezing crabs to get through Meridia. I really hope I can get the gravity suit. I do not want to have to use that crab to freeze my way through Meridia. I saw a crab. I know there's a crab. I know I can knock him down with a super missile and then freeze him to climb up the walls. I don't want to have to deal with that. There is like one route through Criteria that might be possible. It's going to be after I get the jump ball. High jump. It's combined in this game. And then once I have that, I will be able to try it. Pray that there's a way through and it's not going to be blocked off. On top of that, that enough doors will be open. Get to the gravity suit.
Yes! I did it!
I worry. I greatly worry. I'm more worried about getting through Meridia without the gravity suit than I do getting out of here. I expect to be able to get out of here. It's just going to take learning. And then just one really tough jump. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this little bonus episode just to talk about things. This was definitely a difficult boss. I mean, you made Ridley into Ridley, and he's like he's the best boss in the series. Nobody cares about Mother Braid. Everyone loves Ridley. So, aloha.
I probably would enjoy talking a little bit about the boss and strategy and stuff. And to you, I say aloha.